Welcome to the Nerd Party.
They can travel anywhere in time and space.
Off we go into time and space.
So all of time and all of space is sitting out there.
Welcome to Time and Space, one married couple's adventure through the Doctor Who universe. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her erstwhile companion, Phillip Gilfus.
Erstwhile is right, I think, as a regular theme. So, I want to start off by asking you about the television program that you and I just watched. About a man who ends up doing a podcast with his wife and hates doing it with her.
That's true. We were watching the American, sitcom. We'd be the Alex Inc., based on the true story of Alex Bloomberg and Gimlet Media and startup podcast when he broke away from This American Life and started his own podcast company. So it starts Zach Braff and some other folks.
Some other folks.
Yeah.
And so in this episode that we just watched, his wife pitches this fantastic podcast idea, but more than anything else, Alex doesn't want to work with his wife on a podcast.
Well, I think his thing was that his home wife is different from his work wife.
Well, that was the suggestion.
Right.
Anyway, so...
and you're always the same, darling.
I'm always...
Constantly.
Are you calling me boring? Is that what's happening here?
No, you're always awesome.
Always. Well, and that was what he ultimately realized, wasn't it? That she was good at everything.
And he was only good at one thing.
Yeah, which really does, actually, now that you say that, sound a lot like us.
Right, but I mean reversed. But So I thought another thing we could talk about before we get into our main topic is, because I don't know if we'll ever organically talk about it.
Okay.
We finished our third Big Finish audio Doctor Who adventure. So we've listened to, other than we already did the episode, but at the end, the 50th anniversary, you see prior episode. The other two we listened to that we didn't necessarily talk about all that much was, I may get these titles wrong, The Horror at Glam Rock.
Oh, yes.
Which is an Eighth Doctor story. And then also Zagreus, which is also an Eighth Doctor story, but it features the voice talents of Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy, playing kind of their characters, but also playing other characters, so doctors, not doctors. But anyway.
Yes, and it was another one that I didn't have as much joy as you did, which is not to say I didn't enjoy it, but as we were going through and these other characters showed up, like Uncle Winky, and you straight away went, hey, that's
the Doctor, yes.
Whoever that was.
And also had respective companions as well in some parts.
And you were straight away going, oh, I know that voice. Oh, I know that voice. Oh, I know that voice. And so I think it was a lot more fun for you, again, because you're so familiar. And you're always very good at stuff like that. Like, I could probably watch all of the Doctor Who episodes from the very beginning all the way through and still not be able to recognize voices. And I still get Colin Baker and Tom Baker mixed up because they have the same last name. And I don't know which one's which. I do, I think.
Well, that's Bakerist.
I know. I know.
Well, I have to say, Zagreus, which was longer, to me was a bit of a hot mess. There are good parts that I don't want to I don't know if I would really recommend it. I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, so I would semi-recommend it if you're looking for a Big Finish production.
It's very muddled for an audio story.
As a story, I think you could probably cut it in half and not lose anything.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of, I think a lot of the gimmicks, for lack of a better word, they bring back, oh gosh, I'm blanking out his name, I apologize. But anyway, the Brigadier, Courtney, I can't remember his name, sorry. But anyway, they bring back the Brigadier to not play the Brigadier, though he is, but to play the voice of the TARDIS, and you sort of have Charlie.
Who looks like the Brigadier. Yeah. And I think that's where the confusion was, is listening to it, and you have all these characters who theoretically look like the Doctors and the Doctor's companions, because they later on make a thing about how all of these faces have been created out of memory, and it all gets a little muddled when you can't see it as well, I think, in this case.
As I always say, I love Paul McGinn and the Eighth Doctor, but I would say half this adventure is him going, I'm the Doctor. No, I'm Zagreus. No, I'm the Doctor. No, I'm I mean, that's about half the show.
Yeah.
And it gets a little annoying, I'm going to just say. So I would say it's repetitive. But I got it for 99p. Can't complain.
Can't complain.
Right. So, but I would say not my favorite. I did like the use of the different Doctors because on the cover it has all the Doctors. So that's obviously I judged a book by its cover in that case.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah. But I think I enjoyed more, even though it was shorter and smaller in scope, with a horror glam rock.
Yes, I really quite enjoyed this one.
Because it was sort of just a simple adventure. You know, we're not going to have any multi-Doctors. It's just going to be a straight 8th Doctor audio adventure. And I loved it.
Yes, yeah, and it was a lot of fun. And then later on, that one came with sort of interviews with the people who
extras, if you will,
who played in it. Well, characters.
Yes.
It had all of it. Not extra characters.
No.
Sorry. And so I had already, I think, picked out Sheridan Smith, who's not somebody that you're familiar with, but somebody that I had watched loads, 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. I've just always absolutely loved, and it's something I'm going to have to introduce you to at some point. And so I was very aware of Sheridan Smith, and then realizing later on that it had the guy from Boyzone, Stephen, his name escapes me a little bit, who unfortunately has since passed away, but that was interesting to me. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, and I can't remember her name, but the woman who plays in Sherlock was also in it.
Yeah.
And I know the woman who plays in Sherlock.
The woman who plays the housekeeper.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not your housekeeper, the landlady in Sherlock. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. It was with Lucy as the companion. Ooh, that was my first exposure to. Then we were introduced to Charlie, so I don't know in order how it goes for a Doctor Companion. But I enjoyed it, and so... as we say, we're always interested for folks if you have any... Oh,
and it had the guy who played Donna's dad.
Of course.
Granddad, sorry.
Yes. Bernard Cribbins, something like that.
That sounds right.
Let's
go with that. Yeah.
I don't know.
And he was actually talking, because obviously this was done before he came on as Donna's grandpa. And so he was talking about how excited he was to be part of Doctor Who and how he'd wanted to be part of Doctor Who. And so that was nice.
Well, he was sharing some memories because he was in, and this will definitely be a future episode. He was talking about his experience in the Doctor Who movie, the one that we haven't seen, the old Doctor Who movie, the not canon is canon Doctor Who movie.
Oh,
yeah, Doctor Who and the Doll. Anyway, there's 2 Doctor Who movies with Peter Cushing. Anyway, Peter Cushing. It's not Chris Lee.
Oh, right.
Yes,
we have sort of talked about this, that there's a doctor that nobody acknowledges.
But the young Bernard Cribbins was in there. One of the movies, I can't remember. We'll watch them one day, listeners. Don't worry, and have a show about it.
And I'm going to express my discontent about there being a doctor who's not acknowledged at all.
Is this your War Doctor thing again?
Well, yeah. If you can stick the War Doctor in and be like, oh, yes, there are 13 doctors. Oh, and the War Doctor. And not be like, oh, and this other guy. Mm-hmm. Who is, 4.5? What is what?
I would assume he would probably be 7.5.
7.5.
Because I would think it'd be after the classic era over. No, it'd be black and white, honestly. So I don't know. It's probably even earlier than that.
And see, again, if we give Paul McGann, who was only in one film, a number...
That's right.
This is unfair.
It's a lot of timey-wimey.
Yeah, okay.
And also, before we hit our main topic, just as a reminder for folks who are supporters of this podcast and the Nerd Party, you may have heard us speak about it again, or if you haven't, the Nerd Party Network, which we are proud members of, has unfortunately been hit with a legal claim. And so, because we're all volunteers, what we have done is set up a GoFundMe page so that folks who support this podcast and all podcasting can help us fight against this legal claim. Just as much as it would happen to any other podcast. So if you're interested in supporting us, please go to gofundme.com/thenerdparty and help donate. And every bit helps. I think we've gone almost a fourth of our goal, and this is obviously something that means a lot to the folks who run the Nerd Party, because if we don't get help, it comes out of everyone's pockets, and that makes it a lot harder to podcast.
Absolutely. And it's a great way to show your support for everything the Nerd Party does. It offers a lot of amazing podcasts. And so if it's something that you listen to on a regular basis, or even if you just catch us all every now and then, it's definitely a great cause to donate to.
All right. So where do the winds of time and space take us, darling?
Well, they are taking us across a gender-fluid stream this time. So no matter what term you use, whether it's Time Lord or Time Lady, there's no doubt that the future is female. Hua! And as we look forward to Jodi Whittaker's adventures as the 13th Doctor, today we'll be talking about all the women of Gallifrey who helped pave the way for the Doctor's latest regeneration.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm about to say is not interesting, but I was going to say it's interesting. The kerfuffle, and the kerfuffle I don't think is the majority of fandom, or at least I would hope not. It's a minority, and so maybe we just ignore it. But anyway, those who are struggling with having a woman doctor, it's not like we haven't done this before. Is basically going to be our point of this.
Yeah, loads of times.
I mean, and I get maybe the main character for some bizarre reason, maybe that's a difference, and it for some reason crumbles your world, but change, my dear.
Change indeed, yes. Right, so what do you want to talk about? Who would you like to talk about first?
I see what you did there. Well, I know one of your favorites is Missy.
I love Missy.
So we have, the Master, of course, the great enemy of the Doctor since, the John Pertwee era. And now we come in with the 12th Doctor and, mystery, who's this mysterious woman in his first series, and turns out it's Missy, the mistress. Couldn't well call myself the Master anymore, could I? And so having the greatest villain ever of the Doctor Who be regenerated as a woman.
Yes, yeah. And I don't remember a kerfluffle about it, first of all. And I just think the actress is brilliant. I love her. What's her name?
Michelle Gomez.
Michelle Gomez, yes, of course. Who's married to a guy from other television shows, like Smash. But there you go. There's my little tidbit of useless information. But yeah, I think she's absolutely fantastic. I think she plays it beautifully. And I'm really hoping, even though things don't look great for her at the 12th Doctor's regeneration moments, I am hoping that she will somehow manage to survive it and come back, because I think that she would be great the 13th Doctor. Yeah,
definitely an interesting interplay. And, and it, like you said, I don't remember any kerfuffle either. I mean, this was sort of contemporary to our fandom about...
And part of that reason may be that she was a character before we knew that she was the Master. Before we knew it was a female regeneration of a man. Oh no. And so people were sort of eased into it more, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And again, I think it's so cool you have this legacy person that, whether, who's your favorite Master, and then, someone's favorite Master is going to be Mistress or Missy now,
Yeah, absolutely. She's my mistress.
You never forget your first Master? Is that? I don't know.
Something, yeah. None of that sounds right to say, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think, like you said, with the interplay between the John Sims Master and the Michelle Gomez mistress, that was fun. As we talked before, you have these multi-Doctor adventures. To have a multi-Master adventure was very interesting to see the interplay.
Yes, and they were both delightful, I think. Just the humor and the sarcasm, and yeah, I really liked both of them.
And the fact that it's sort of just the tradition of, with Michelle Gomez, and I think we watched maybe an extra, or maybe, I can't remember, in my sort of Capaldi Blu-ray series here, that they have some extras anyway, that asked her about it, and I forget her response, honestly, I apologize, but, when you're playing this sort of legacy character, do you go back and study, like the Doctor, but in this case, the Master, do you study, I'm going to get all the actors' names wrong, but anyway, all the classic Masters, and, or do you just make it your own, or is it just the writing that has to inform who this new incarnation is? So I think it's very interesting, and you sort of, in your mind, you picture the different Master, Mistress, Missy, all that.
Yeah, I think as an actor, I would certainly want to know my backstory. I would want to go back and at least see the journey that my character has taken up to this point, because I think it does inform some things. But yeah, but then of course it is about making it your own. You can't repeat the same characteristics because that's not interesting. And then you've just got a woman playing a man. It's just not your own, I guess.
But yeah, I'm sure she really watched the Doctor Who movie, so she could really get Eric Roberts' cadence down.
Yes, maybe not Eric Roberts, but there are lots of other great choices. There were moments where she sounded quite American.
Well, there you go.
So what do we think about Michelle Gomez's performance as the Mistress? Might tell us about what we're going to see from a female Doctor.
Right, and I was also wondering, purposefully or not, was Stephen paving the way?
Whether or not he was, dropping a hint. Let's see how this floats.
Because, I mean, in some ways you could argue it was sort of all right, I'm going to have a major Time Lord character, a major Doctor Who character, transition to a woman, see how it goes. Which, of course, is ridiculous. You just, you don't need to see how it goes. But anyway, you try to hold hands occasionally, I guess, for those who are oddly distressed about odd reasons. But anyway, and so...
and I think Stephen Moffat's such a tricky one because... I mean, for instance, when we've talked about River Song, how much did he know from the beginning? And having seen an interview with him, it appears not a whole lot.
Right.
And so he sort of built it for... So I think that his genius...
I also think he tends to have ideas, and this isn't a critique necessarily, but he has an idea that he does, and then he's like, oh, blank. There's going to be consequences.
Figure out.
The whole, and not to get off on a tangent, but we were watching an interview with him about River Song, and the idea that the Doctor would meet someone who knows him and he doesn't know her. Maybe it's a romantic interest, and that's the whole idea. And then you do that, and then you're like, well, shoot, now I guess I
really ought to explain that, or we're going to have to run into
eventually,
it.
Right?
Yeah, if she's a time traveler on a different time scale than he is, then probably at
eventually
some point they're going to have to interact.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
So right.
Well, I thought of another example, and this I know to go from such a big character as the Mashes, and now we're going to seem like we're nitpicking, but we want to kind of tip our hats to all the Time Ladies or Time Lords, gender neutral, whatever your preference is, and that is the mysterious character that we meet at the end of time, the 10th Doctor's Swan Song episode. Now, I always label her in my mind as the Doctor's mother. That's my interpretation. You don't have to buy into it. But this is the mysterious woman that Grandpa meets at the beginning in the church. And then by the end of it, once, the Lord President, as the whole council, the High Council of the Time Lords have voted to, move Gallifrey to Earth or whatever. And there's two people who vote no, and one of them is that woman. And, she's sort of hiding her face in shame or whatever as punishment. And then that's, at the end, she sort of gives reveals her eyes for a little bit to the 10th Doctor, and I think sort of, hey, you should shoot that thing, basically. And so in my mind, I've always said that was his mom. But that's, but anyway, but she's a woman and obviously a Time Lord.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know what more to say about her. Mm-hmm. She's definitely there.
Right.
Definitely female, and in Philip's mind, the Doctor's mummy, which is quite possible.
Because they said two. And so one could presume, if we're going to go nuclear, heteronormative, that the other would be his father.
You think mum and dad?
Yeah, I mean, that's my head canon, as we say in the business. That doesn't have to be yours. But
interesting. But we don't get a hint as to who Papa Doctor is.
No. Well, it's also like, and I haven't written this down, and then this is obviously a very, one off or two off, but when the 12th Doctor smashes into Gallifrey and goes to his old house, there's a woman there Undefined who that is.
I always assume she's his mom, definitely.
Because to me, there was also another sort of like, we're going to play this, that we're not going to define it. She basically like, oh, you shouldn't be in here. And then like, oh, it's you. And there's almost like an unspoken wink. I'm not going to say who I am. I know who you are, though. You know.
Yeah. And she's one that I think about. Yeah, she's the one that I assume is his mummy. But also in that episode, we get another male to female regeneration.
Yes, this would be the, I don't know if he has a name, he may or may not, Time Lord General, Gallifrey Security Chief, whatever you want to call it, you know who we're talking about, during the 50th anniversary of the Day of the Doctor, sort of since we've, can't show the Council, because we already did that with, at this time period, quote-unquote time period of Gallifrey at the end of the Time War. We did that with the 10th Doctor, showing the Lord President. So we were, all right, who's left? Okay, well, let's show the army guys, I guess. So we get the Time Lord General, who we get to meet in the Day of the Doctor. He seems nice enough. But he comes back in Hellbent, the 12th Doctor's episode of when he is finally escaping to Gallifrey after some bit of mischief with the Time Lord President, which we won't go into, blah, blah, blah. But in order to retrieve Clara, or to keep her after retrieving her, he basically shoots the General, who then instantly regenerates.
As a woman.
Yes.
Yes. And immediately makes a comment about the fact that women get the job done better.
Well, and also, I guess, we read into this or not as you want. It goes from a older white gentleman to a younger black woman. Mm-hmm. So,
yay for diversity.
But yeah, I think it always goes into the interesting part of regeneration, because, what rules there are at the end of the day up to the writers. There are no rules, but with age and gender and whatever, as even the Doctor himself, or at least, we actually say herself here in a moment, but when he was a man those days. But anyway, to go from different ages, right? He's not always going to be the same age when he regenerates. He can be like the 11 to 12, go from, well, technically 11 was old at the end there. But anyway, so I guess he did slightly regenerate younger. But anyway, we know what I mean. So yeah, any age, any gender, any race, yeah, and then, that will be not to, I hope Jodi's around for a long time, but, the next argument is the next time is when a lot of white people here being doctors.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, diversity, we don't see as much diversity in the earlier Doctor Who, and we've been seeing more and more of it as we've gone through with the new Who, as it were. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. Mm-hmm.
As I say, once your previous companion was a person of color or lesbian, you're doing well. You can always do more, but you're doing pretty well there.
Well, of course, the new companions, there's a lot of diversity there.
Oh yeah, that's true. Very true.
So yeah, we'll see where it takes us.
But don't worry, we still have an old white guy holding down the fort.
Yes, thank goodness.
Thanks, Bradley Walsh.
Thank goodness for Bradley Walsh.
We kid because we think it's funny.
That's true. That's the only reason we do it.
So this one is a cheat, but I'm going to go ahead and use it because it's, is she a Time Lord? Is she not? Is she? You can argue she is. Jenny.
Yeah.
The Doctor's daughter.
Yes. Now explain how the Doctor ends up with a daughter.
So I'm trying to remember. This is the 10th Doctor basically arrives on this planet where there's two warring races, which I imagine is about a quarter of every Doctor Who episode ever. But anyway, but more specifically, I think it's a clone thing. That's how they get more soldiers. I think they just sort of do an instant, we sort of like, I forget what machine they use, but whether it's an injection or whatever, and then from your DNA, they make another soldier.
Yeah, and like one day had passed or something ridiculous like that, yeah. And
so Doctor just gets hit in his first couple minutes. I think that's with when Martha gets separated. I believe it's not Donna. I think it's Martha. Anyway, sorry.
I think it's Martha.
Yeah, and with the blue species.
Yes.
That's their exact title. And so, yeah. And so a woman clone.
Yes.
And we get Jenny, I believe is her name. Of course, Georgia Moffat, of course. And Georgia Tennant, depending on what she's using at the moment. But anyway, and we get arguably a Time Lady, because I think she does technically regenerate. I'm trying to remember the ending because she dies, but then at the end she's sort of seen flying away, and but yeah. So I mean, and I always think that's there are. I want to say probably are, but I think there are Big Finish adventures with Jenny. But that I think that would be an interesting thing, and I know oftentimes eras don't like to meet. By that I mean, having a Davies meet a Moffat or a Moffat meeting a Chibnall, because every writer likes to have their universe, and I get that. But it would be interesting to have a Jenny 13th Doctor,
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's another...
Mum?
Oh, that would be a lot of fun. And of course, Georgia Moffat muddies the water in so many ways.
Being the Doctor's daughter, being the Doctor's daughter. Yeah.
And the Doctor's wife, and yes, all of those things. But quite adventurous, a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. She's energetic and youthful, and
because the 10th Doctor is sort of teaching her not to be violent, because she's sort of born of war, as like the Time War Doctor. But anyway, and so he's teaching her that no, violence isn't always the answer, and da 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 da. So
yeah,
being a parent, I guess.
Being a parent in whatever way.
And, a few scatterings, this has been mostly New Who, but, I think even though we're not fully abreast in our 100% knowledge of classic, I think we can go do a little bit without being too crazy. So, Susan Foreman, obviously.
Yes, absolutely, of course.
Right, and I know you haven't seen every episode, but, you've seen, basically. It's interesting with Susan. I think she is in some ways the stereotype companion. And so you're like, well, what makes her a Time Lady other than just being the Doctor's granddaughter? Of course, this is before we defined what Time Lord was, but
yes,
we're going to go ahead and pretend like, the whole time we all knew. But I always give the excuse that she probably is the age that she looks, as opposed to other time people from Gallifrey who could be hundreds of years old. I think she really is 17,
Yes, yeah. And we don't, and again, because it's so early in, we don't get any sort of backstory as to why is she there, and what sort of education has she had on Gallifrey, and why did the Doctor steal a TARDIS and his granddaughter, and
because I think Susan shows intelligence but undisciplined, so like she knows things, she knows science,
but she's quite naive, and
and she still yells a lot and screams and is
throws patties,
so. Has to be upset and whatever. But, which, I'm not saying is the best characterizations, but there you go. But anyway, so we see that Time Lords and Ladies can just be like everyone else, I suppose.
Time Lords and Ladies, they're just like us.
They're people, too. But though, I don't think the question is asked enough. Where are the parents?
Is it ever asked? You say it's not asked enough, but is it ever asked? Is she Jenny's daughter? Oh.
Well, I just wonder...
Because it does mean that the Doctor has more children out there.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's always a question. It's come up once or twice in New Who that he often dodges or doesn't answer. Or just drops and keeps on going to a companion. Be like, oh yeah, I've had children. Anyway, about this other thing. They're like, wait, what? Back to... So yeah, but I think it's interesting. There's the Ronnie.
Yes. Another bad guy.
Right. So,
sort of akin to the Master then. Maybe the Master's daughter. Ooh.
Well, she didn't like working with him very much, which I guess actually leads credence to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I think you're being a little Time Lordist. Like, they're not all related,
No, but I like it as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's the Master's mother.
There you go, which explains why.
Or father, if she's regenerated. There's so many options.
That's true, because we don't know what regeneration the Ronnie is. Is it like
Yeah.
the 10th Ronnie or something? Or...
Absolutely.
No way of
in
knowing.
somebody's timey-wimey, yes. So, where does this leave us with our 13th Doctor? What can we glean from what we know to inform what may be?
And that the Doctor's reaction upon seeing herself was...
Oh, brilliant. Yes.
And so, and I think that it'll be interesting. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's really no change. I mean, you can play with some funny jokes, maybe, but, still the Doctor.
What are the Dalek...
Bumps.
the Dalek bumps.
And it might be...
That would have been a fun way to start it.
But yeah, maybe some funny things about the Doctor having never been a woman, at least to our knowledge, right?
Yeah.
The way they play with numbers, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, I think at the end of the day, I'll keep on trucking.
Oh yeah, I don't think that there'll be too much made out of it.
Well, I say that I don't know, and I don't think, I from what little I know of Chibnall's stuff, I don't think he will. But I guess I hearken for a second to did you know the 12th Doctor is older than the other Doctors? Did you know that? Did you get that? Did they talk about him having gray hair and Scottish accent enough? Yeah, I got it, folks. We can.
Well, but they pick up those things. You think about Christopher Eccleston. You sound
north.
like you're from the north. Yes, and so I think that there's the possibility, and the trick is going to be not to make such a big deal out of it, even though anybody she meets from the past, for instance, when River Song shows up, and I'm going with my when, it's going to be a thing. In the same way that when Peter Capaldi showed up in River Song's world, it was a bit of a thing. Or even when Matt Smith does, and she's like, "Oh, you're so young," those sorts of things.
Or when Captain Jack shows up.
Yes. Oh, that's gonna be brilliant. You have to bring Captain Jack back because he's gonna have so much fun with this.
Too much fun.
Which is exactly what Captain Jack is. So yeah, I think that's. I'm hoping they won't make a big deal out of it, so that they can do that when characters return, as opposed to, because if they make a big thing about it and then River Song shows up and makes a big thing about it, everybody's going to be like, yeah, we got it.
Well, I also, and this is, I know, cart before the horse, but imagine for a moment, whether it's her time or in the future, the inevitable multi-Doctor story with the 13th Doctor.
Oh, yes.
The other Doctors will be having some reaction to, wait, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah, no, that'll be a lot of fun, too. Mm-hmm. So, again, you don't want to beat the dead horse.
Right.
You don't want to, without cause, make a huge deal out of it. Because there's so much room for fun stuff without it being weird if you haven't overdone it.
Right. Yeah. And again, I'll be interested in the Time Lord, Time Lady terminology.
Yes, yeah. That it will be interesting to see
when she introduces herself.
Yeah.
At some point, whether it's the first episode, which that could be when it's going to happen, or subsequent, is she going to say I'm a Time Lord, or that's a Time Lord, or is it, does it? Again, it doesn't matter to me, but I just do wonder how
what they're going to use.
As we've said before, you can't, you do have to think about it if you're a writer.
Is she a Ms. or a Miss or a Mrs.? She's married.
That's true. That is true.
Does she now have to take River Song's last name? I just don't know. And then is it going to be Pond or Song? Or there's so many questions with the woman. And what are those Dalek bumps? Right, shall we have a jump into the TARDIS library, my darling?
Yes, and for this trip, we are going to be revisiting another Time Lady of note. And that's going to be with the introduction of Romana, the Fourth Doctor's companion. And of course, we're talking in this instance Romana 1, if you really need the differences there. And her introduction in the Ribos Operation, which first premiered 2 September 1978. And would you like to give us a brief synopsis courtesy of TARDIS.wikia?
I would love to give us a brief synopsis courtesy of TARDIS.wikia. The Doctor is summoned by the mysterious and powerful White Guardian and sent on a quest to find the 6 segments of the Key to Time, which, once assembled, will restore balance to the universe. Joining the Doctor and K9 is the smart and sassy Romana 1, a Time Lord, fresh from the Academy. Landing on the wintry planet of Ribos to locate the first segment, the TARDIS crew quickly find themselves embroiled in a little local trouble with a pair of con men and an unstable warlord.
Now, you did it how it's spelled, but they clearly do say Ribos the entire time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would assume
Ribos.
my American mind would say Ribos, but everyone certainly keeps saying Ribos.
Also interesting that TARDIS.wikia does refer to Romana as a Time Lord.
That's true, but we can always change it. Hence the Wikia part.
True that.
So,
and so I'm concerned about. It also refers to her as Romana 1.
right.
Shouldn't she just be referred to as the first Romana?
Oh, I suppose this in the second Romana. Right?
Yeah.
We don't say Doctor 1 and Doctor 2.
No.
Yeah, I'll accept that quibble.
Yeah, because then I feel like you have to do it in Roman numerals.
Right. And who can do that?
I mean, I can, but
Okay.
other people are going to be like, what do you mean, Dr. V? Or Dr. L, like they did with the Super Bowl, and everybody got really upset at the 50th because it was just an L, and people were like, I don't know what that means.
And they had to use 5-0 instead.
And, yep. See?
Yeah, that makes people so upset.
People are very sensitive.
But anyway, what did you think of, we're out of order, of course. You've met Lalla Ward before, but now
Yes.
we're meeting Mary, doing the first incarnation. What did you think of Romana?
Yeah, no, I liked her. It's interesting because she has a difficult start with the Doctor. The Doctor is not happy about having a companion on this mission. So she sort of has to prove her worth, but at the same time be the typical companion who gets stuck under a door about to be eaten by a monster.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was interesting, and again, this is Mary Tamm, of course, the late Mary Tamm, unfortunately, who plays this character. In some ways, I'm like, oh man, why are they not getting along? It's kind of like, man, I wish these actors. I'm like, no, it's the characters. I'm sorry, it's almost like, but it's good. I mean, it's a little bit of a character's conflict, right? Where and you sort of have both characters being called out. The Doctor's upset that he has to, because I think this is, well, all right, I'm going to say this and someone's going to prove me wrong, which is fine. I think this is the first companion he's been involuntarily given. It's always been actually, I suppose that's not true. I suppose the first ones, Barbara and Ian, kind of.
Oh yeah, sort of end up.
Trapped, but he trapped them to the TARDIS. Let's be honest there.
Yeah.
He
and we
kidnapped
don't
them.
know why he ended up with his granddaughter. So
Exactly. Living off the government. But anyway.
Am I right?
But okay, so one of the companions involuntarily, he didn't choose her in any way, shape, or form. And so he's sort of saddled with this young upstart. I mean, it is, in a way, very buddy comedy. You have the old experienced veteran and the young, fresh from the rule book school, no experience but book smart, assistant.
This is Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that is what this is.
At no time did the Doctor say I'm getting too old for that. But I did like, but then Doctor kind of gets called out for, do you not want my help? Do you know, and she knows things that he's like, oh yeah, I guess you're right about that. Okay. And she calls him out literally about
sulking in the corner.
Yes. And having his own.
Although to be fair, she did put a hole in his TARDIS.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you touch a man's toys.
Tell me. Tell me.
And then you get the whole, she's, and I don't know, to me, I have to ask myself why I think this. Because to me, the stereotype between Romana 1 and 2, which, I mean, you've got enough, at least introduction to kind of glean, is that Romana 1's kind of like the in-charge woman, and then Romana 2 is a little bit more,
laid back,
feminine, I'm not using
Victorian.
I'm not using very good words, but at the end of the day, I'm like, no, they're not. They're both smart. They're both capable. They both can hold their own. I'm like, I don't know why.
And they're also gonna be different characters to an extent. I mean, that's what we expect with our Doctors. There's no reason why we shouldn't expect it with our Romanas. Mm-hmm. It's the core is still there, but a lot changes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do like, it's a very interesting mix because, again, I'm always on guard for the stereotype companion, which I don't think she is, at least here. I mean, yeah, she does get caught in a trap, but
caught in a trap.
Exactly. But nothing that wouldn't have happened to anyone else. She shouldn't, like, trip over her ankles or anything, you know?
No, but she did go under there and not look to her left where the giant monster was
To be
sleeping.
fair, most people were not looking to their left in this episode. Like, with
This
people
is
hiding
true
behind
story,
screens
yes, yeah.
and...
Yeah, very easily discoverable, and yet not.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there you go.
Very good stagecraft.
Yeah.
Or bad stagecraft, depending upon your
As
blocking.
per usual.
But no, I do like that she sort of is, you know, on top of things. She is holding her own. I mean, you know, it's hard to domineer the Doctor, but she's at least holding her own. You know, and given the, I forget the ages she quotes, whether she's 100 or something young,
Yes.
as opposed to the Doctor being
700
or something
I think
like
she
that.
says,
But anyway,
yeah.
And so I enjoyed it, and I did like these sort of, again, the stereotype. You know, there's no yelling, or screaming, I should say, and then that she was introduced very sort of like, you know, the smart woman or the smart time lady. But she did sort of have a feminine flair because she's sort of introduced with sort of the tight coif. It's almost like, you know, traveling. You know, you just travel, whatever, and then when you get there, you can kind of brush the hair out a little bit because she's basically in her next scene just brushing her hair, which you would think would be like, that's kind of Disney. But like, nah, not really, just practical. She likes to look nice, whatever. You know.
She gets that wonderful white coat that the Doctor brings for her, which is...
There's a lot in that wardrobe.
Yeah, there. Oh, no, I appreciate that, and it's beautiful. But, yeah, the Doctor steps out already carrying it, and he's ready to go. Yeah.
Well, he's very thoughtful.
Yeah, but he doesn't like her.
Well, you know, he can still be thoughtful.
I guess.
He's a gentleman. But anyway, so you like what you saw.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, by the end of it, they were getting along and
Like a house on fire.
getting the work done and finding the first piece of the dice cube.
The key to time.
The key to time.
Yes, and then we know that once eventually Thanos has all the pieces to the key. Oh, wait.
No, that's
I might
right.
be-
That's right. Then he can beat the Avengers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to make sure I was right on that.
Well, that's the because we see the White Guardian, who has a lovely cocktail,
Right.
but he warns against the Black Guardian, which I assume is Thanos.
Okay, you're right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's why eventually Amy shows up as one of the adopted daughters. Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, see? Timey-wimey.
Exactly. And stay after for the credits.
Indeed.
Now, I did read a little bit behind the scenes that Mary was concerned about taking this role because of the fear of stereotype companion. Like, she didn't want to be the damsel in distress. And she only, spoilers, she only played this role for one series and left. And I don't know, I'm just reading online stuff, so listeners, you may know a better story than I do, but that she felt like she was starting to get stories that were like that. And I was like, no thanks. And so then that's why we get Lala Ward in the next
And,
series.
you know, good for her for stepping up and being like, nope, that's not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, but it's not what I want.
Right, and I'm sure Tamm was great to work with. Anyway, he's very difficult to work with.
Did you just mutter under your breath?
He's
That was rude.
the Chris Eccleston of Classic Who.
Interesting. Speaking of which, Stephen Moffat replied to the Christopher Eccleston comments just so beautifully, I thought, and said, you know,
Duty of care.
duty of care.
It's a very Doctor Who theory.
And then said, and he'll always be my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really beautiful and well put.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Cool.
There you go. What are we going to talk about next week?
Well, next week, we've kind of talked a little bit about Time Ladies, and sometimes they do play a companion role. And since we're talking about companions, we thought we'd talk about some other companions, and those are the companions of the 12th Doctor, to sort of complete our New Who. Well, I won't say complete, because I'm sure we'll be talking about some companions of the 13th Doctor.
Yes,
but anyway,
yes.
we'll be talking about the 12th Doctor companions, which of course...
To get up to date with our New Who companion run.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll continue talking about Clara, as we did from the 11th Doctor, Bill,
Nardole,
and, who else? Where else fell into those cracks of the TARDIS?
Yeah, we'll have to have a look and see what we can find. It's all very exciting. I'm looking forward to talking about Bill again, because I love her. Before the listeners turn this off because they don't want to hear your soupiness, would you please remind them where they can go to donate for the GoFundMe page for the Nerd Party?
Sure, it's at GoFundMe.com/TheNerdParty. And if folks want to talk to you about Time Ladies, where can they talk to you?
They can find me on Twitter. Nobody ever has, and I'm really sad about that. So somebody come find me on Twitter. I'm at One Phoenix Theater.
And for those who want to talk to me and probably correct something I got wrong in this episode, which I am always more than happy to be educated because I love talking about Doctor Who, they can tweet me at NC Public Servant on Twitter. Well, until next week, darling, you're my favorite lady in all of time and space.
Oh, and you're my favorite. I'm not going to call you a Time Lord, and I'm not going to call you a Lord. You're just my favorite, darling.
This is BBC Television.